Hi everyone, and welcome to The Girls. We have a brand new show. Lori is finally able to join us. Thank you. And the crowd are back in action. It's me, my mom, my sister-in-law. And so Lori, what have you been doing? I could see the fall going beyond you. I know you've been decorating.
It's my favorite time of year is fall. And so I got a little busy, and so I decided to make you both a special treat. And since, Janine, we know you are a wine connoisseur, I made some wine gummy bears. So they're itsy bitsy, but it's just a little taste. So let's give them a try. See how we like it.
Little teeny weeny, little teeny. Look at it jiggles.
See that good
like
on
dancing.
TV, but you have little Mickey Mouses.
Yes, wine Mickey Mouses for all the kids.
Oh, it's a joke.
It is a joke, yes. No wine for kids.
What are these little teddy bears?
They're little teddy bears. And then my husband said, you don't really get a taste of the wine. So then I cut them in blocks. And he's like, now that's more like it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could taste the wine in the little gummy bears. Oh, look at this big one. Wait, what's this big? Is this Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, I had some Mickey Mouse molds that I would do chocolate with. But
I think Mickey's drunk. Look,
listen,
Mickey's drunk.
We made sangria at Lori's house.
Oh,
trick-or-treating, and it tastes too good. You can only have a little bit, or let me tell you, that sangria will knock you right on your butt.
that's for sure. Yes, I had a very sick stomach.
Not me. Oh, fine.
Well, everybody asked me why I don't drink, and it was because one year we went out for New Year's Eve, and we were with a bunch of our friends, and we had gone to this place called Bubby's Restaurant, and so we were drinking amaretto and orange juice. That's not harmful. Amaretto and orange juice, big deal. It's like the punch. So by the 12 o'clock, they had sent champagne, and then they ran out of amaretto because every woman at our table was drinking it. And they sent us a bottle of Sambuca. So now we're like, who cares? We'll drink anything at this point. Well, the next day, Sammy and Janine were only 2 years old. The next day I got up. I was so sick. Well, the other girls ended up going to the hospital, to the emergency room. They had alcohol poisoning.
Oh,
of course, I didn't know I had alcohol poisoning. And yeah, so there's me frying the eggs in the morning going, oh God.
Sometimes I think it's the sugar in it. If you drink something a little dry, I like dry red.
No, this was the
Kind
alcohol.
of sip on it.
We had the alcohol poisoning. So I haven't had anything to drink since, well, a little sipper, but Janine, I haven't really had a drink since you were 2.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, that cured me. That cured me. I guess I'm crazy enough. I don't know.
Alcohol could be tough on the stomach, I think. And
Well,
sugar, I'm with you. The sugar is what bothers me, I think.
Yeah.
Just that.
Well, now that you're finally with us, Lori, I wanted to thank you on air and show everybody my beautiful rose. I have this posted as my Facebook page, but I have this beautiful multicolored rose in a globe that you and Sammy and Bella got for us for our anniversary. It's just so pretty. Everybody was commenting about it. So I wanted to publicly thank you, but
Well,
you've been gone.
I've been gone. And now we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll have Kelly Rippon with us. She's an author of this fabulous book, Inspire Your Child to Be Their Best, Parent Up. So we'll be right back.
And we're back here with our very special guest. We have Kelly Rippon. She is from Northeastern Pennsylvania. Kelly, you are known for many, many things, but you're here to tell us about this great book that you wrote, and it's called Inspire Your Child to Be Their Best Self, Parent Up. Right. It's an easy read. So I know you have an Olympic medalist in your home with you, right? Your son, Adam Rippon, right?
That's right.
All right. Yes. Well, thank you for joining us on the show to talk about this.
Thank you for having me.
To tell us about the book, to tell us who you are, and to inspire us.
Well, the book is not necessarily a how-to parent book, but it is how to be your best self. Because for all of us, I think we have done courses or in-services at work about leadership and negotiation skills, conflict resolution. So I've taken a lot of those corporate seminars, that corporate training models, and I've transformed them into a parenting philosophy. So that's what I did. I shared a lot of the stories from the perspective of my now adult children. So I wasn't giving advice while pushing a stroller. I actually interviewed my kids that are now, my youngest 3 are in college. My older 3 are all in professions now. So I got their input. So it was things that worked, things that they thought were the most helpful and impactful, and then things that maybe didn't work. So I can share those as well.
Because we're going to talk about this throughout the book, just background about Kelly is that she has 6 children. You raised them. You're a single mother. So that was something that you say throughout the book. And you also talk about all of your children.
I have a question for you. I know that reading through the book, I was enjoying the different stories they had about the kids and different ways that you inspired them to do their chores, and always made everything a challenge and told them why. That's one thing that I used to do with my kids. But my big thing is, what actually made you, was it your kids or what, that made you want to sit down and write this book? I think that's interesting as well, as to why you wrote the book. Who inspired you to write it?
Well, there was a few people came to me and started asking me questions after the Olympics or during the interviews, after like toward the end of the Olympics, after Adam had already finished his competitions. He started sharing a story about this message that I wrote on the back deck of our home. And I wrote that message, as I share in the book, as a kind of a message to myself and a message to give the kids some peace that this is kind of like a role, who was going to be living in the house. But I didn't want it to be so cold and so clinical, as if it was, an alphabetized role. So what I did was I gave each of the kids a moniker, and I didn't give them this name or this general statement to hope one day they would become this. I gave it to them because that's who I saw them as in that day, in that moment. They already were. So for example, I wrote Adam, in this home lives Adam, a champion. Now he was only 13 years old, and I don't really even know if he won anything, if you want to say that, but he already had those qualities of a champion. He got up early. He took criticism fairly. He worked hard. He tried to improve every day. He reprioritized things to align himself to a better connection to goals. So that's why I wrote those things.
Kelly, I think sometimes when we are told that we are a certain way, we start to believe that. So that positive influence on your children really helped, I'm sure, to push them to be, the champion or the genius, as you had written about another child. So I think that's a wonderful thing for any parent to do, because I know, being a mom of a 17-year-old daughter, I'm always applauding what she's doing, but I love the fact that, that really put it into a good perspective for me as a mom.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So when I was teaching in the classroom, I was teaching in college, and I would hear some of the young students, the young moms, say jokingly, "Oh, my son, he's such a pain in the neck," and I said, you know what? You keep telling him that, and he's going to grow up to be the best pain in the neck ever, because our kids want to please us. So it's not about saying something so general like "you're special," because that doesn't have any weight to it. Everyone's special, right? But to say something like your daughter, you're resilient, or you are very organized, that really sticks with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. I think it's really great words to live by.
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
It's an easy read, the book, and each chapter you talk about certain things, optimism, influence of words, perspective, confidence, empathy, grace, loyalty, habits, accountability. You kind of gravitate to things that are reflect your own life, or things that you could help your own life, or things you want, your strengths, your weaknesses. When you talked about optimism, tell us the story, because you talk about a technique, but then you use an example from your own life. And I thought the cake story was interesting when your kids were growing up. Again, 6 kids,
Right.
and a single mom at one table. So again, there has to be some kind of organization and some kind of creativity going on there.
Well, we had cake for everything, and when you are the designated driver for 20 years, you eat a lot of cake instead of martinis, right? So I would get a cake to celebrate everything, if they, came home with a spelling bee, or if they were trying out for a part in the play, or they, had practice, tried their shoes, we would get a cake. And I would purposely do this exercise when I was cutting the cake. First, I would announce to everyone, you can have as much as you want. And that's a great thing, right?
Mhm.
And then I would cut them in different various sizes, and then I would arbitrarily give them to them out of ranking order. So the 2-year-old may get a sliver. I mean, the 2-year-old may get a huge piece, while the 10-year-old got a sliver. And there was always someone who noticed the cake injustice. I have 2 lawyers, 2 my daughters in law school, and one of my sons is a lawyer. And that fire of like noticing fairness and equality was in their skin at a young age. So somebody would always say, that's not fair. And I would say, why isn't it fair? You can have as much as you want. Does it matter if the first piece is smaller than the second piece? And then they started understanding that, because I would say there's enough success for everyone, but you might not get it when you want it, but it will come. You may get less success than others on certain days. And, and on other days, you'll have a windfall. So
They were so lucky to have a mom like you that was really
Oh.
paying attention to their needs and what the rest of the world was offering them. Because I had one mother pay me the most wonderful compliment. She said, you spoil your kids. And I looked at her and stared her right in the eye, and I said, thank you. And she didn't know what to say. And I said, there's so much out there that's ready to knock them down and keep them down, that I think my job as a parent is to elevate my children to the highest level they can be, so they can be strong enough to go out there and meet that. So as I was reading your book, I was sort of reflecting back to those days and thinking, what a wonderful, wonderful parenting guide, or for anything, as you said, to have out there. Your book is just written from the heart, from experience, and with 6 kids, I'm sure all their different personalities were crashing all over the place.
Yes.
And then with your son being involved with his skating and all the different tryouts. At one point, didn't you have your baby with you when you took him for one of his practices or one of his tryouts or something? Tell that story about though you were nursing.
Well, I brought him with me for the first 2 years because I was nursing him. So he came with us all the time. But I brought him with us when Adam was cast as the young Scott Hamilton in Stars and Ice. So Sawyer, he was maybe 6 months old, 5 months old. So I brought him with us, and the cast passed him around. And now it's so nice because, as I promised Adam that day when I said, what are you asking for an autograph? You want to be, their peer. You don't want to be their fan. And now, of course, all the people that were in the cast, he's friendly with, and I know as well. And Jenny Mino and Todd Sand were newly married at that time, and they were holding Sawyer, and we still talk about that because they have 2 sons now. And I said, when they were holding him, I said, I am just like a blessing of fertility. When people hold my babies, they end up having babies. And they were laughing. And then soon after that, they had 2 sons. So over the years, we have seen each other. And now they both work at this same rink where Adam trained for the Olympics. So it's a very small world.
And it's interesting how you tell that story of, Adam is your oldest, and yes, he's Olympic winner, but you also include and pretty equally of all your kids, because, and I have a running joke with my mom because I have a twin brother, so I'm like, he's the favorite. And you tell a story in your
Yes.
book about the favorite. So tell us that story, because some people might assume that Adam is the favorite, you know, because he's the oldest and he's
Right.
the Olympic champ. But tell us that story.
Well, the older two boys would squabble about who was my favorite. And I just randomly, the third child, as you may know, I don't know if anyone has the, lower in the ranks, they're not as, I don't want to say needy, but not as in need of being in the spotlight. You know, the lower you're tucked into the litter, I should say, right? And my third son was just an agreeable child. He was just, he really didn't fuss, and I just randomly said, Brady's my favorite. And ever since that day, they never brought it up. And now, of course, they joke about it. Well, oh, he's your favorite. Or, they would do something like, my daughter was planning or she helped paint. She's very good at painting and things. And she would say, am I your favorite now? I just painted the garage. Am I your favorite? So it is a running joke, but it did take a lot of pressure off of that competition, in-house competition. So,
and how do you come up with these techniques? How did you come up with these techniques? Was it through, your professional background, just intuition?
I would say a little bit TV, a little bit professional background. I watched and learned from a lot of the television moms that I really appreciated. I appreciated One Day at a Time, Annie Romano. I appreciated Carol Brady and Shirley Partridge and Lily Munster. All of those television moms I appreciated. And then I would watch a show on Lifetime called Every Baby Knows. And it was by T. Barry Brazelton. He was a renowned pediatrician from the Boston area. And he would just so calmly talk about the joy a parent could get out of observing their child. And there was just something about that resonated with me because, none of us have parenting lessons. And as time moves, generations, improve or change, shift different parenting, now that we know different things. I can't even keep up. Do babies sleep on their stomachs, on their back, on their sides, with a roll? I have no idea, but it changes every few years. So I think that it helped me stay current by watching that particular show. He was a pediatrician and it was on Lifetime, and it was my morning ritual where I would just watch it and learn.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Kelly Rippon.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the girls here on SSP TV. We have a special guest with us, Kelly Rippon. She wrote this book, and it is called Inspire Your Child to Be Their Best Self. Parent Up. So we're parenting up. I always love a good read that has to do with how we could parent better, because if there's I wish there was that book that said the answers to all the questions that your kids ask you. And my kids always ask me, two teenagers, 16 and 18, is, they like to wait till about 10:30 to ask the important questions. So my head's already mush, Kelly. So you write in your book a little bit about the digital age. And I know what parents now are dealing with social media and technology. Just share your thoughts on your opinions on that.
Well, when my kids were coming up, I had a range where they were just getting cell phones. Cell phones were fairly new, and then moving into more smartphones. Then with my my three youngest were more active, asking for Facebook and Snapchat accounts and things like that. And I would always set up rules, but there is one thing that I didn't do. I didn't have a police, I didn't have their passwords. I didn't search their accounts, but I was very firm about the permanence of anything that was written, especially on the internet. and took them through, different scenarios about trying to establish that empathy about how would it feel if this is what happened. And they were all like made up scenarios. But it bothered me to see parents gather their kids' phones and then go through them, because for me, and I talked to my kids as they got older, now adults, I believe that when you are already treating someone as if they're violating something, you treat them like they can't, you're already implying that they are dishonest and you have to check on them. So I would say, I imagine this when I speak to parents. Imagine having a wallet full of hard-earned cash, and you walk into the door at Macy's and the manager says, "Welcome to Macy's. Don't steal anything."
Mm-hmm.
Does it make you want to buy anything? You almost feel like, I resent that. I resent, before I even bought anything or did something good, you're already assuming I'm going to do something wrong. And you're checking my bags and you're asking me to open my purse. It's a violation before a crime. So I say, wait for the crime and then take action. Because trust me, if your child bullies another child, or is perceived to bully another child, or says something in the heat of the moment in a cheerleader fight, or an argument over who was supposed to call the cheer, you'll find out about it. Trust me. Like, more than enough people will want to share a misstep of one of your kids. You will find out. You don't need to do your own investigation.
Kelly, there's a lot of other things that you're also doing. I know you've started some groups that can help parents as well as coaches and different folks. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement with all of that?
Yes. We are so quick to get our kids out to have piano lessons and soccer coaches and ballet lessons and et cetera lessons. And they have coaches and trainers, but parents would benefit for having a parent coach. And what I do is I offer support seminars to dance studios, to gyms, to rinks, to hockey teams, to soccer teams, I do it in a way to establish a culture with the parents so that there's a more supportive environment. Because believe it or not, how someone treats their child on the way to the rink or the way to the field can affect your child. So I do offer them. One is for the arts, like cheerleading, dance, the theater arts, academic arts, as far as like speech and debate. And then I offer one for sports. And I have, a pro Zoom, so people can contact me via my website, and I can, organize, a free get together. And then a lot of the time, some of the parents will want to meet privately.
We can talk to you for probably 3 more hours. We want people to pick up the book, check out your seminar. How do we get the book? How do people get in contact with you for the coaching and for some information they would need?
You can, if you are an Amazon customer, you can get it on Amazon. And you can reach me at kellyrippon.com, my my website, or you can find me on Instagram. All of my information is right on my profile. It's Krippon, Krippon.
Very good. Well, thank you again for coming on the show, and we wish you luck with your 6 kids and can't wait to see what your future holds next for you.
Thank you so much.
And best of luck to your son as well. I know that he's going to do whatever he wants to do because he's very successful, and I just love him.
Oh, me too.
All right, girls, we'll see you next time.